Thank you. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon to you. So, Clint, tell us a little bit for the benefit of those who don't know C.R.O.W KZN. Can you give us a little brief history on C.R.O.W?
Yes, 100%. So C.R.O.W is South Africa's oldest wildlife rehabilitation centre. We were actually started by our founder, Zolda Mallet, in her garage in 1977. But we officially became C.R.O.W KZN in 1980 when we moved on to our property that we currently reside in, Yellowwood Park. We rescue between 3,000 and 4,000 wild indigenous animals every year, orphaned or displaced or injured animals. We get them back to recovery to a point where they are either able to fend for themselves again, or if they've recovered from their injuries, and we release all the animals back into the wild. We receive between 3,000 and 4,000 animals through our doors each year. And at any given time, we generally have between 300 and 600 animals on property.
Wonderful. And absolutely, you're doing such a good job, I must add. So why was there a need for Rehabilitation Centre for the Wild? Which animals fall under the wild? Because I think sometimes when people talk, think about wild animals, they think about a lion or a cheetah, that kind of animal.
Yes.
So why wild animals? We're talking about wildlife,
Yes,
isn't it?
wildlife, yes. So we treat all injured and orphaned wildlife. So we've got permits for every single species of indigenous wild animal within South Africa, including your threatened and protected species. So we do work with any animal from crocodiles and mambas through to your game species or your antelope species, birds of prey, a large variety of garden birds, and basically you name it. If it's indigenous to South Africa and it needs our help, we're able to assist. We cover the whole of KwaZulu-Natal. And the need really arose many decades ago because of urbanization. We do cover the whole of KwaZulu-Natal. We do get animals from Zululand and from down south where it's less built up. But with the urbanization and the all the building that's going on, and we are taking the habitat away from these animals, so we do find a lot more and more that animals are getting into conflict with humans. And finding them in warehouses where they shouldn't be. We've got a lot of green belts, so we're very blessed here in KZN, but that obviously ends up sometimes having animals finding themselves in situations that are not so great. About 90% of the animals that do come into our care are a direct cause of human intervention from somehow, either whether it's hit by a car, attacked by a dog, unfortunately a lot of times shot by pellet guns,
That's so cruel.
It is 100% very cruel. So we do our best to get out there, rescue the animal, and we do also have a very important education program, which we revamped in about 14 years ago. And since we revamped that education program, we've actually reached out to over 160,000 learners in that time frame.
Oh, wow. That's magnificent. So tell us about a typical day at C.R.O.W.
No day is ever the same at C.R.O.W.
I can imagine.
But it varies from day to day, especially our winter time is our quieter season. But we usually have around about plus minus 6 rescues in a day there, whereas during our busy season now coming into summer, we can have up to 16 rescues in a day. And you never know what's going to come through the door next. The treatments, you've obviously got all your feed preps. So we start first thing in the morning. There's 2 feed preps every day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Baby season, which we're in now, some of our nurses will be waking up every couple of hours to feed some of the babies that they have in their care. For example, our baby bird room, which is very full at the moment, it takes, we feed from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Every hour. And it literally takes about 55 minutes to feed all the baby birds in our baby bird room, and then 5 minutes to prep for the next feed, and then start the whole process again. So, yeah, it's a wild ride.
That's great. But, for animal lovers as well, I think not many of us, come into contact with animals all the time. We have pets and, but I'm talking about the wildlife. We don't really, and I think also animals view us as the enemy, when they look at us, because obviously now like you said before, urbanization and building and not... Thank God that we have so many green belts around that animals can live, especially along the coast. I think you have a lot more animals living around there, like especially the bird species, I think. And you're talking about like a typical hospital.
Yes, 100%, just with wildlife.
I'm listening to you, and you say nurses get up at that part of the morning to feed the birds, and the babies. So that's like a typical hospital that we're talking about.
Yes, and we treat it just as any vet or hospital would. So everything needs to be sterile. And yeah, it's a very intensive operation and a very costly operation as well.
I can imagine. So a video went viral 1 to 2 months ago about the financial constraints and the threat of closure of C.R.O.W. So would you like to give us more information on this?
Yes, 100%. We announced to the public about 3 weeks ago on that video that we literally had about 10 months left of reserve funds in our accounts to be able to carry on with the expenses that we're currently under, and with the lack of income that we've been getting. We struggled quite a lot during COVID. Our international volunteer program generally generates enough income to cover about 50% of our overheads. So it went from pretty much 80% capacity down to zero overnight. And for 2 years, we weren't receiving that income. We also go through 2 bucky loads of fruit and vegetables every week, which gets quite costly. We've got all sorts of other very strange costs, like buying insects for some of our insectivorous animals, and meats and things like that. But I have to just say a massive, massive thank you to KZN and, in fact, South Africa, because we have received a huge amount of support since the video did go out. We're not out of the woods yet, but we're getting there, and we've definitely secured more time. I've been in contact with foundations locally and international to try help raise some funds, because we've been going for 43 years. If we didn't do what we do, those animals would be left helpless.
No, definitely.
So we're really pushing to.
And as much as we are answerable to mankind, we are answerable to animals. You know, I mean, we have to look after them as well. We need them in our environment, and we need them, you know, in the ecosystem. So, you know, I don't think people realize the extent to which animals play a part in our ecosystem as well. So we really do need to look after them. So I just wanted to ask you about the footprint. Do we have other centres as well as C.R.O.W.?
We've got C.R.O.W. as the main hub here in Durban, Yellowwood Park, but we do have what we call depots, which are people that we've trained up that fall under our permits. We've got one in Belito, one in Mshlanga. We've also got one down in the south coast, as well as Amanzimtoti, and then towards Assegai area. And we have just also partnered with Tula Tula for a Zululand reserve, as well as Mkumbi for a Zululand depot. So we basically, the animals, if we can't get them straight away, can go to a depot, and then we'll collect as soon as possible once our vehicles are available again.
All right, so you go down far south and north as well for KwaZulu-Natal.
Yes, and inland
great.
for certain
and
species.
Inland as well. All right. So how can our generous listeners from around the globe assist C.R.O.W.?
So there's many ways. You can make a once-off donation. We also have our 1,100 Club, which is a membership for as little as 50 Rand per month. And Tula Tula has actually sponsored an awesome prize that we'll be running for anybody who signs up between now and the end of December for a weekend away at Tula Tula, valued at 20,000 Rand. You can support us by buying our calendars. Our awesome calendars have just come out, which are themed from dusk to dawn, with some magnificent wildlife photographs. And you can also come through and volunteer. We always need the extra hands. There is no cost for local volunteers to come and assist us. And then, yes, definitely on our website, which is C.R.O.W KZN.co.za, you can go on there, and we've also got wish lists, etc., that people can assist with.
That's wonderful to note. I know that people will want to, come on and come on board with you. So tell us about C.R.O.W. Is it open to the public? The times for visiting? Are you accepting, like you said, volunteers? How does it work with volunteers? And do you charge an entry fee?
Yes, so we actually we don't allow the public to walk around on property, just because all the animals are going to be released back into the wild, and so we have to keep them as wild as possible, so we minimize the human contact as much as possible. We do accept schools to come through. We've got some presentations we do, and the one species that we do allow interaction with, because they couldn't be released in the past, that's now changing, was our tortoises. And then we've also got, as I say, the volunteer opportunities where people, if they do want to, get to know our animals and see them and work with them, they come through and help us with food prep, cleaning enclosures, all sorts of things like that. But there is no fee for a volunteer. We do charge some schools. Also, if schools do collections for us, we come through, we give presentations at no cost. And then the rural schools we also service at no cost as well.
So you're not really open to the public as such?
No, we're not, yeah.
Okay, so you have to be from a group. of
Yes.
people? Maybe like
We do have corporates that sometimes
Corporates,
come
yes.
through, and they have a group and they come through for a day and do
All
like a
right.
team build, things like that. Or as I say, the presentations, we've got our education centre on property, and we've developed a wetland, an organic garden, an aquaponic system. So we've got many different educational
Okay, so I just wanted to ask you, a message came through to ask, what about family groups? If people want to come as a family group and be educated and have all those, videos shown to them, will you allow it?
Yes, yeah. If it's a group that can come through, they can always give us a call. As I say, we won't be able to do tours at the moment, although we are looking at ways that we can maybe have a little bit. We've got CCTV cameras, for example, in our animal enclosures, so people that are at our education centre can view the animals on the CCTV, etc. So we are looking at possibilities, but they're always welcome to give us a call and we can chat and find out.
No, that's
what we
great,
can do.
because at least you're open to that as well.
Yes.
And tell us your message to all those who love animals.
So I think all those who love animals, I think they know it's a calling, it's a passion and a dedication for life. I've known that I wanted to be in conservation since I was 12 years old, and I pursued that. And it's they say if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life. So anybody that's considering studying nature conservation or something to do with the environment, I definitely say that you won't look back.
Okay, the question also came in. There's a question that came in as well, who they want to know if you, like, for example, they want to be a volunteer. So do you have to have a background, especially like if you're studying veterinary science or whatever it may be? Do you have really to
You
need to?
don't need any qualifications. No, we do all the training for you on property. We do get a lot of people that are studying environments or veterinary sciences that help us out. But we also have a lot of people who don't have any background whatsoever. They just love animals. So we welcome anybody.
I think you just need to have that heart.
Yes.
That wonderful heart, that soft heart, and just that you need, you take your animal as your baby, and how you would look after a baby and care for it. I think that's all you do is you just need the heart, So thank you so much for that, Clint, and for coming into studio today. Really appreciate it. I think there are many messages on Facebook as well. But the other thing that I wanted to ask you is your address.
Yes.
And your contact details if people want to get in touch with you, and also if on your website details if people want to donate, like you said, 1,100 Club as well, if they want to
Yes.
donate. So can you tell us, or they want your calendars maybe?
100%. Perfect. So our address is 15A Codemore Avenue in Yellowwood Park, Durban. And our contact number is 031 462 1127, with our emergency number being 083 212 5281, and our website is www.C.R.O.W KZN.co.za. That's also our Facebook and our Instagram name.
All right, so it's 031 462
1127.
27. And at any time, people can contact you, or you have office hours, I'm sure.
So we are open from, we actually are open, we're working from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. But due to the financial constraints, we have had to stop our after hours emergency services. So at the moment, we are open from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the public. But our nurses are working 24/7 basically.
Okay, thank you so much. That is 15A Codemore Avenue. That's in Yellowwood Park,